Hi, welcome to my channel Everyday Movie Recap, where we will recap the movie Infestation from the year 2009. In this post-apocalyptic world, Earth is overrun by monsters that killed 99% of the whole population. Have you watched this movie yet? If not, sit back, relax, and enjoy. An office entirely wrapped in a massive spider web is shown at the start of the movie. Random people lie on the ground in cocoons, seemingly dead. One of the people is suddenly pierced by what looks like a massive stinger. Before all this happens, we are introduced to a guy named Cooper, who is on the phone with his father and is running late for work. Due to Cooper's ongoing issues and the way he has damaged the family name, his father is quite angry. As Cooper tries to show that things aren't really that bad, he almost gets killed by a car. He arrives at his workplace, which is a clinic call center. He is able to make a few dumb jokes about his coworkers on the way to his workstation. He gets summoned in for a meeting with his boss, Maureen, before he can even start working. She intends to terminate Cooper after receiving a report on his improper behavior with clients. Before they could finish, a loud noise knocked out everyone. Many days go by. There are webs everywhere throughout the office. The freaky insects are still scuttling around the office, biting those who are encased in cocoons. After regaining consciousness, Cooper escapes the cocoon. The odd white sludge is making him nauseous. A gigantic bug suddenly strikes him. Cooper pushes back and drives his fear away in spite of himself. When he finally calms down, he discovers that his supervisor, Maureen, is imprisoned in a cocoon. She is awakened by Cooper, who tears the webbing apart. Maureen is puzzled about what's going on and feels dizzy. She recalls that she was meant to have a meeting with her daughter before to this unexplained incident, but what has happened to her since then is unknown to her. Running out of the office with Cooper, Maureen notices that everyone else is in a giant cocoon, as does everyone else outside. Cooper volunteers to assist Maureen's daughter when she spots her in the car, while Sarah, Maureen's daughter, is being helped by Cooper to escape the cocoon. She misinterprets Cooper's intentions and shoots gas in his eyes from a canister. Maureen is suddenly snatched up and flown away by a massive insect that looks like a wasp. She can only scream in horror as her mother gets taken away. Cooper's eyes burn too badly. Large bugs begin to appear everywhere, and he and Sarah know they must leave right away. They unintentionally knock over a garbage can. Sarah turns on her car's alarm when she realizes that the insects are responsive to sound, and all of the insects sprint toward it. This allows them to flee. In an attempt to hide from the insects, Cooper and Sarah dash into a cafe. Although Cooper finds the situation equally puzzling, Sarah is deeply concerned about her mother and wants to know what occurred. Cooper is against Sarah's suggestion to assist the people in the cafe because of the difficulty of their situation. Sarah is suddenly grabbed by the neck by a man called Hugo. This is exactly what Cooper feared. He tries to help, but he gets struck in the jaw. The scary insect then makes its return and attacks Cooper. Hugo removes the bug while being sidetracked by Sarah. Sarah still chooses to wake up Cindy, Albert, Lychee, Roger, PJ, and the policeman in the cafe after she gets to her knees. The group as a whole seeks to decide what to do next. Sarah cautions that it's not a good idea to leave on Roger's truck since noise attracts insects. Disregarding the direction of all, Roger and PJ board the truck. The sound of the engine draws enormous bugs right away, which destroy the car. In an attempt to flee, PJ jumps out of the truck, breaks his leg, and eventually finds himself beneath the truck's uncontrollably spinning wheels. Roger was driving when the creature's terrifying tendrils snatched him away. The policeman is also killed in the struggle with the monstrous beasts. Hugo's father, Albert, also receives an insect sting in the back, though it appears that the wound is not dangerous. The man is unsure about how it will all turn out. The closest structure is where the surviving survivors hide. The group ascends to the roof after Lychee recommends they go exploring. There, they witness a curious red haze and a large group of venomous insects flying in the other way. Everyone is frantically thinking of ways to survive. Cooper proposes that they visit his retired military father, who has a fully stocked bunker. But to go there, they have to go journey far away. A group of insects then start to fly in their direction. Though Lychee waves her arms, they fly by. These beasts, it turns out, are blind and only use their hearing. The survivors resolve to study the insects in greater detail. A radio is used to entice a beetle into a closet, where it is trapped. To analyze the venom, Lychee recommends milking it like a snake. Though it makes them gag, the group as a whole agrees. Once more, they fight the huge insect and manage to get a sample of its poison. While they wait for Lychee's results, the team is thinking back on what each of them did before passing out. They were all startled by a sound that sounded like a dog whistle. Meanwhile, Lychee uses improvised methods to discover that the poison's sedative properties are caused by a combination of unique proteins. A crimson gas similar to the one they observed in the sky was also found by her. The scientist speculates that the bug is emitting, but she is unsure of its identity. The worn-out group decides to spend the night in the building and, in the morning, to go to Cooper's father's bunker, making stops at each member's house along the route. Cooper attempts to recall where he first saw Sarah before going to bed because he recognizes her face so well. He makes the decision to hunt for food since he can't sleep. Cooper is startled when a few tiny bugs burst out of a box, dropping it in the process. However, he is startled even more when Cindy comes out of nowhere behind him. Cooper learns from Cindy that she works in television, and she advises that the two of them head to the studio together so they may make contact with any location in the world. Cindy has other ideas, but Cooper agrees and says they will come back for the others in the morning. She desires to go alone with Cooper. The guy starts to realize that although he likes Cindy, he does not feel the same way. The gang awakens the following morning to sounds emanating from the closet. The caged beetle is making terrible noises that should draw attention from its relatives as it tries to get away. After forcing his way into the closet, Albert destroys the beetle. The group knows that they have to quickly leave. Because Lychee wants to wake up as many people as possible, she won't go any further. Everyone exits the house and moves toward the city, with the exception of Lychee. Because Cooper is interested in Sarah, he keeps flirting with her and asking if she has a boyfriend. This bothers Sarah, who labels Cooper as shallow and immature for asking such things in face of greater danger. They exchange sardonic views about one another, each believing they are well versed in the lives of others. The group eventually reaches Albert and Hugo's residence. Hugo's mom is in bed, and they must see her. The girls make the decision to wait for the men outside, and Cooper follows them in, but we later find out that Hugo's mother passed away. The grieving Albert then rushes outside, gun in hand, ready to murder any insect that he sees. Cooper tells him it is suicide and will just attract all the enemy towards them, but Albert doesn't listen to reason and proceeds to get revenge. The group has begun to gather near Cindy's brother's residence. They see lots of people laying near to each other, individuals in cocoons on the yard. Just then, Cindy's sibling emerges from the garage, holding a second cocoon, but the man has become a mutation now. He is now half insect and half human. He attacks everyone and manages to wound Cooper. He also grabs Cindy away. Hugo helps the blonde, but Cindy begs him not to kill her brother, not understanding that the creature barely resembles Hugo at all. Hugo and Albert finally stab the wild mutant with forks. Hugo and Albert check to make sure all the doors and windows are locked as Sarah tends to Cooper's wound. If Cooper also develops into one of these monsters, Sarah is asked to just flee rather than kill him. The man claims that he had always imagined a disaster of some sort, which would allow him to resettle on Earth and live in the woods with a girl named Sarah. They converse and share personal details with one another. Cooper admits that he also recently lost his mother. Albert feels sick all of a sudden as he explores the house more. In the kitchen, he tells Sarah that instead of telling them about his infection, he begs her to look after his son in the same way that she looks after Cooper. Despite being taken aback by the request, the girl agrees to it. As Cooper is resting after the tiring day, he's startled awake by Cindy, who tells him her brother was a decent man who always had her back. Although Cooper reassures the girl that everything will be alright, Cindy now requests Cooper's care. She takes off her clothes and settles down beside the startled man. He pulls her away and tells the wild girl that his mind is currently focused on something else. She tries to kiss him but he declines. This hurts Cindy, who leaves the room. The survivors continue with their journey. Sarah notices the mysterious smoke once more and believes that the horrible animal's nest is where it is coming from. Her mother might be there, which is why she wants to go. Cooper tells the girl that there is a very low risk of her surviving. Once more, a number of enormous wasps soar above the group of survivors. Everyone stops talking in the hopes that the insects will pass. While this is happening, Cindy sees Cooper and Sarah instinctively holding hands. She gets so jealous and screams, which draws all the bugs' attention towards them. The others attempt to shut her, but nothing works, so Albert pulls out a rifle and shoots her. Sarah and Cooper are stunned, but according to Albert, she wouldn't have stopped in any other case. The insects then start attacking. After Albert takes out multiple creatures, one of them grabs Albert and tries to drag him away. Cooper saves the man from the gun in the nick of time, but not before a bug attacks him. Sarah attempts to assist him. After releasing him, the enormous wasp snatches the girl and takes off with her. Cooper, Albert, and Hugo eventually arrive at their destination. They meet Cooper's dad, who starts to call his dog. Cooper requests that his father stop yelling, but his father never gives up looking for Lucy since he loves her almost as much as his son. When night comes, Albert suddenly starts mutating and he attacks Cooper. But Hugo shoots him before he can do any more damage. He tells Cooper that is his father's wish. This attracts a lot of insects and the three of them start to hide. Ethan uses a toy to distract the mutant dog in one of the rooms. Suddenly, they are attacked by a swarm of horrible bugs, but they escape by finding cover inside a bunker. They can finally get a moment of rest and they say their good nights. In his sleep, Cooper's memories of the near-car accident reappear, but this time, Sarah happens to be the driver. Cooper gives out his cell phone number if ever he damages the car, but this is just a way to text her. This explains why Cooper felt Sarah's face seemed familiar and why Sarah had a note with the boy's phone number. Morning comes and Cooper wakes up to his father's call for breakfast. They then learn that no government signal or any help will come yet. He gives his son camouflage clothing, as arranges for his son's route to get away. This annoys Cooper with his father who doesn't even involve him in the planning. Cooper wants to save Sarah, but his father just disregards his ideas. After being let down, Cooper chooses to aid Sarah on his own and walks away without giving up on his objective. Abruptly, though, the military takes him into custody and imprisons him. An old man from beside his cell informs him that the government thinks everyone is infected and is taking heavy measures to prevent the mutations. They are unable to control the insects, though. It was discovered that the strange smoke emanating from the beetle's nest was a combustible gas that every insect produces. It caused a fire to start, destroying the group's shelter. Turns out the elderly man was the only survivor. Meanwhile, Sarah awakens in the scary insect's nest. Beside her are a lot of cocoons. She makes an effort to escape. Hugo and Ethan are then taken to the police station. Cooper tries to tell the police that identifying an infected person is quite easy. All you have to do is look for a bite mark on their back. They consent to examine Ethan's back, but it appears that he is already infected. A gunfight ensues. At the same time, the old man changes into an insect, but is immediately destroyed. The three of them flee the scene with firearms and other helpful equipment, such as explosives. After Cooper's father defeats the police, in the insect's nest, Sarah discovers the queen insect laying eggs. Ethan, Cooper, and Hugo on the other hand move on using bicycles, having been infected by the insects. Ethan is determined to completely destroy the insect's nest. As the queen eats individuals inside cocoons, Sarah gulps in fear. She moves on to get away, but she is stopped by a mutant kid who lets out a loud cry. Ethan feels something in his stomach that he will turn into a mutant, so he chains his son to a tree because he wants to do the mission alone and break into the nest. Hugo regains consciousness at the same moment and frees Cooper. Despite the man's warning to avoid this area, they heedlessly proceed in the direction of the nest. Sarah listens to everything in the nest as she navigates through it. Unexpectedly, Ethan moves toward her. Fearful, the girl stabs him in the hand with a knife. Believing it to be a beetle, after introducing themselves, Ethan tells her how to get away, because she can't seem to find her mother. Sarah sobs. She is comforted by him as he explains that his mission is to destroy this awful nest. Sarah proposes that Ethan accompany him to the queen's hideout. When they get to this eerie location, they cannot locate the queen. Sarah must go, per Ethan's demands. They suddenly realize that the queen is above them. She is prepared to launch him. Offensive, Ethan starts shooting at her, but it's not going to be simple to kill this enormous beast. When Cooper and Hugo hear gunshots, they rush to the scene. A loud noise breaks out from the queen. Her scream doesn't bother Hugo, though, because he has hearing issues. Just in time, the guy throws explosives into its mouth while Cooper keeps shooting. The boys run for the door when his father begins to change into a monster. When Cooper sets off the explosives, the nest catches fire and eventually explodes, breaking into tiny fragments. Hugo and Sarah welcome Cooper after he awakens in the hospital. Rather than making ominous noises, they open the window. They can hear bird songs now. After releasing individuals from cocoons on the street, Hugo finally extends an invitation to Sarah for a date. The movie ends as they turn around shocked to see something horrible. We are left to wonder what it could be. Thank you for watching. For more content like this, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.